Whitchurch History Society is the custodian of many Whitchurch images past and present. I have tried to select a variety showing life topographically and chronologically. My intention was to record the square and then take each street individually, travelling its length from the town centre to the parish boundary, and in some cases slightly beyond. This represents a small part of the collection, but I hope that they convey something of the history and people of our town, showing its development through the ages. The Marketplace in 1928. A sketch of John Butler's shop, circa 1880. Hyde's shop, draper and clothier. The addition of a single-storey general furniture warehouse. Hyde's shops on the left, J. Long's shop on the right. J. Hyde, now with the addition of a second storey, and Bennett's. The signpost outside Bennett's points to the Great Western Railway Station. Hospital Sunday, Whitchurch 1913, viewed from the White Hart Hotel. Situated opposite the foot of Newbury Hill, Hyde's was the occasional recipient of vehicles whose brakes or mechanics had failed. Ceremonial parade from Newbury Street into London Street, Godwin & Co. on the right. Hutchins the butcher and the post office, which replaced Godwin & Co. Children's parade in the square, circa 1880s. A Forester's ceremonial parade, one of many such parades. The post office was demolished and rebuilding took place. The London County Westminster and Parrs Bank, on the site and now occupied by the Newbury Building Society. Next door, luncheon and tea rooms, cyclists and tourists catered for, and the Kingsley Hotel in 1938. W. Piercy, tobacconist, stationer and bookseller. Sampson and Sons and W. Piercy. The newspaper board display reads Zeppelin Raid on Eastern Counties. Wiltshire and Rimmer, James Howard and Polly Lovell in the 1950s. Hutchins, now replaced by Wigmore's, large roundabout in the centre of the square with a high curb. Smaller roundabout. And even smaller roundabout. J. Long's shop with Plough Inn on the right hand side. J. Long's shop, built in 1896. Salvation Army riots in the square in 1890. Plaque commemorating the right to demonstrate, won by the Salvation Army in July 1890. Enthusiastic crowds greet the arrival of General Booth in 1908. Gateway food markets. Summerfields in 2001. The Co-op in 2010. Hutchins, the White Hart and the Post Office. Frank Wigmore, butcher. Wigmore's, with decorated van and bicycle. Wigmore's van, children carrying commemorative coronation mugs. Mrs. Wheeler from St Marybourne with her horse and cart selling fresh fish. Bennett's took over when Long's concentrated on their jam and marmalade production at the Bell Street factory. The international stores took over from Bennett's. Duddington's Ironmongers was on the right of the international stores. It was built at the same time as the rebuilding of Long's in 1896. The large archway on the left is for deliveries to the rear of the international stores. The Hovis sign on the right is above Nichols' Bakery. Cecil Duddington outside his shop. Nichols' Bakery replaced the Plough Inn. One of J. Long Limited jam manufacturers' lorries. Another of Long's lorries, the driver Mr. Smith on the right and Mr. H. Nash on the left. Long's jam factory after the fire in 1894. Some of J. Long's staff in Bell Street. An Ace refrigeration lorry in front of their warehouse unit. Ace refrigeration site clearance. Site clear, showing Dowling and Son and the Limes in Bell Street. Long's Court under construction. Long's Court. Rear of Long's Court, seen from the car park. Miss Kinchin's Sweet Shop. View from Long's Court to the Blue Ginger with Dowling and Son on the right. Nick Dowling with his son Brian. View of Great Lane looking towards Bell Street. The old chapel in Great Lane being demolished, Long's factory and chimney on the left. Rag and bone collecting in Great Lane. Mrs. Piper is the lady talking on the left. Great Lane, Coronation Street Party. The party continues. Ruth Wigmore on the left. Square Gardens off Great Lane. Now the car park and doctor's surgery. The gasometer can be seen extreme top right. The end of Square Gardens. The shed on the left was their toilet. The Bell Yard and Sampson's the blacksmith's with its chalk and flint walls. Ernie Hall's holding the horse steady while Sampson's farrier is shoeing in their yard. Current view from the Bell looking towards Bell Mews. H. Sampson, Agency for Humber Cycles. T. Waters and Son. M. Sampson, Confectioner and Tobacconist. Possibly the oldest photograph of Whitchurch, showing Bell Street Brewery on a market day. View from the corner of the Blue Ginger with the Bell central right. The Bell. Thomas Butler's house on the right. The gas company showrooms. The gas showrooms are now Griffon House. The old gasworks. The gasworks seen from Wells Lane. The library. Rich Row, on the site of the old library. Staff of Seviers Builders. Seviers Court is now located at the rear of this site. Cattle markets were regularly held in Bell Street at the end of the 1800s. Edwin Fear's Cattle Market. Brickmaking on what became G. Smith and Sons Builders' Yard. The Roman Catholic Church. The Catholic Church of St. John Fisher. Wells Lane, the old access road to the station, being levelled. The Great Western Railway was built in 1890. It was opened on January the 1st, 1891. Whitchurch Town Station on the Great Western Railway, with Oakland Terrace in the background. Whitchurch Town often won the Best Kept Station award. There was even a fish pond on the platform. Pedestrian access to the station from Wells Lane was via two short flights of steps. On September the 23rd, 1954, a freight train overran signals and was derailed by trap points. Ken Alexander was the quick-thinking signalman on duty. Recovery of number 76017, viewed from the cricket field. The crossroads at Lower Evingar, Wells Lane, viewed from Hartley Meadows side of the bridge. Lower Evingar Road under construction, about 1933. Bell Street, Coronation Day 1935. Lower Evingar Road 1935. View from outside Mr. Jackman's bungalow. Note Wells Lane on the left and Station Access Road elevated on the right. Also worth noting, Lower Evingar Road surface is unmade gravel until the late 1960s. The two roads have now become the new Wells Lane. Evingar Road. J. Long's corrugated iron sheds. Claxton's nursery and greenhouses. Oops! Hartley's meadow. The bowling club was on the left going into Blosswood Drive. Manor Farm. Archaeological excavations at Caesar's Way. Site clearance at Caesar's Way. Hyde's shop, draper and clothier, before any expansion. The marketplace in 1928. The post office, built in 1907. On the left, head postmaster Mr. King and his staff in 1907. Looking back from the King's Arms to the square. The Long family's garden, the shrubbery on the right. Looking towards the square from Flint's shop. Snow scene, Church Street in 1906. Elsie's Cafe, the entrance to Long's Jam Factory and the King's Arms. Clace's Garage on the right. On the left are Foyle's Library, Miss Smith's and Sweet Shop and Flint's Stores. Hawley House on the left. The relief of Mafeking was made the 16th to 17th, 1900. The Fair Close. Gilbert's Builder's Yard. Mr. Gilbert on the left was also a magistrate for Kingsclere and Whitchurch. Parkham House. Church Street in 1953. The Hermitage. The Mount. The church wall and bushes. Note the absence of road markings. Crumbling church wall and entrance to the lawns a few years later. The Officers' Mess, 1947. Red Cross Parade at Church Corner. All Hallows Church from the west in 1970. These brasses on the east wall of the church commemorate Richard and Elizabeth Brooke and their family. Thomas Brooke, 1561 to 1612, and his wife Susan are commemorated in these sculpted chalk figures set on an 18th century granite plinth. Saxon memorial stone dedicated to Frithberger. Reshingling the spire in 1971. All Hallows and the Tithe Barn. The Vicarage, now King's Lodge. The Vicarage and All Hallows. All Hallows, viewed from the west of the railway embankment through the arch. The new cemetery plot was consecrated in 1893. This picture is about 1910. The Queen Elizabeth Golden Jubilee Memorial was dedicated on the 1st of May 2004. The Venture Bus Company had a garage in Church Street opposite the cemetery. These two lodge houses at the entrance to Hurstbourne Park were demolished when the A34 bypass was constructed in 1976. The Hurstbourne Park Monument, built in 1710. The sculpture reputedly of George III dressed as Julius Caesar. James Hyde on the right at the tiller of his 3.5 horsepower Benz Velo car in Hurstbourne Park. Hurstbourne Park in 1793. Hurstbourne Park in 1869. During the war, members of the Bank of England staff were based at a camp in Hurstbourne Park. Bank of England staff sleeping quarters. The mansion house burnt down on New Year's night 1891 and was replaced by this Jacobean style building. The mansion house entrance hall and the dining room. The second mansion house was demolished, and in 2005 a new house was built of limestone in the mid-18th century style. Members of the Cyclist Touring Club meeting outside the White Hart. The White Hart and London Street in 1947. Demolition of the tap next to the White Hart. On the left is Mr. Perry, owner of the garage on the opposite side of the road. In its place were built the garages, accommodation units and car parking of the present White Hart. Wedding cars lined up outside Perry's garage for a reception in the parish hall. George Perry's garage, built on the site of the old picture house. The Grapes and the Red House, before the building of the new parish hall. The Grapes, the new parish hall, and Eastman's, family butchers. The Grapes, fish and chip shop, Alliston's Antiques, Conservative offices, Bay Tree restaurant, and the Red House. London Street, looking east from outside the parish hall. Looking west from a very similar location. Ferris's shop, opposite the parish hall. Mr. Green, the landlord, outside the Red House. The Bay Tree restaurant and the Red House. The Bay Tree has been demolished and become the Red House car park. Carter and Pengilly, grocery and provisions, shop on the corner of Kingfisher Close. Now becomes Pengilly and Sons. Roadworks and van outside the Bay Tree restaurant. E. Chard's Builder's Yard. Chards became OK Man, who was a builder and funeral director. The Regal Cinema. The interior of the Regal Cinema. The primitive Methodist chapel on the corner of Test Road. The Methodist chapel, now an antique centre. E. J. Cale, family butcher. The Methodist chapel on the left, taken in 1925. J. Cole, fruiterer, grocer and florist. M. McAllingham, fruiterer and grocer. Now J. Bray, fruiterer and greengrocer. Bray's changed to Mason's shoe repairer at the bottom of Lynch Hill. The Salvation Army Citadel opened in 1887 and collapsed in 1928 due to ground subsidence. Test Road, Fisherman's Cottage. The cottage was used as overnight accommodation for visiting anglers. Staff and pupils at Gears Modern School. The Rosary School, pupils 1948 to 1949. The Forge Cycle Store of A.G. Pavia, selling new and used bicycles. Town Mill. Town Mill, about 1900. Town Mill during restoration in 1971. Town Mill in 2015. Watercress bed workers. Voters' Cottage. The whiting factory was on the opposite side of the road to the green. Whiting was used for road markings, doorsteps, etc. Highcliffe cottages on the left were built on the whiting factory site. Milk delivery in London Street. New milk, 1.5 pence a pint, twice daily. The Prince Regent. Bird's eye view of Whitchurch from the Lynch. The lodge. The workhouse. The workhouse became the Union Infirmary, which in turn became the Gables. Bear Mill. The bridge at Bear Mill. The rear of Bear Mill about 1972. Bear Mill, 2014. Free Folk. Laverstoke Mill, originally banknote paper manufacturers. (2015), now the home of Bombay Sapphire, gin manufacturers. The Town Hall, circa 1924. The Town Hall, Reading Room, Mechanics Institute and Hobbs the Saddler on the right. The fire bell and siren on top of the Town Hall. The last day of the Midland Bank in the town. The White Hart, headquarters of the Cyclist Touring Club, with the White Swan Inn farther up Newbury Street on the right. Denning's Draper's Shop, Post Office and Chemists. The Whitchurch Stores, Chemists, Lloyd's Bank and the Co-op. J. Weeks, Chemist. Pharmacy drawers in the Chemists. J. Weeks, Chemist, shop counter. The Swan Inn on the right hand side. Mr. Nash, second on the left with his staff and van outside his shop, which replaced the White Swan Inn. Harry Nash, on the right, had stores on both sides of the street. The staff of Cully and Son, currently Isherwoods. Staff of the Cooperative Society, which opened on March the 19th, 1921. The sports goods shop of yesteryear. Footballs, bladders and boots supplied by Mr. Barnard, boot and shoe repair shop. W. J. Cole, fruiterers. Looking back to the square from the co-op, the building on the right was Long's Mineral Works. Jan and Paddy Enright, owners of Everybody's Stores, which in the 1950s used to open on Sundays from 10 a.m. till midday. The Bricklayer's Arms on the left and the Cabbage Inn on the right. A recruiting sergeant outside the Cabbage Inn, complete with recruiting posters. The Baptist Church. The Bricklayer's Arms. The Bricklayers was renamed the Yeoman, but is now private housing. The Bricklayer's Arms and the Cabbage Inn looking down the hill. The Builders on the left, viewed from the end of Oakland Terrace. The same view, taken a few years later. The Builder's Arms, with the lower entrance to Bear Hill House and the lower Lodge House. Bear Hill House, home of Sir Spencer John Portal JP in 1931 and later of Sir Francis Portal. It became an auxiliary home hospital in the First World War with 40 beds, and in March 1915 was added to the list of British Red Cross hospitals. The Upper Lodge at Bear Hill House. King's Walk under construction. Oakland Terrace, viewed from Newbury Street. Oakland Terrace, viewed from Evangar Road. Council Housing in Fursway. And the Prefabs, also in Fursway. The Water Tower in 1928. The Water Tower in 2015. The Railway Hotel, built in 1856, shown just before its demolition. Alterations to the Newbury Road Railway Bridge. The soap factory was owned by Davis Products and manufactured Davex soap and soap flakes. Glycerine for explosives was made here during the Second World War. The factory closed in 1966, and an estate of houses now covered the site named Greenwoods, after the last factory manager, Charlie Greenwood. The Isolation Hospital was located at the turning off Newbury Road to the Harroway. Robinson Crusoe's Castle, about a mile along the Harroway on the right. Geoffrey de Havilland built his first biplane at Fulham, It was powered by a 45 horsepower engine, and in December 1909 was taken to Lord Carnarvon's land at Lichfield, 7 Barrows. It rolled down Beacon Hill and was airborne for 100 feet before crashing. The engine was salvaged and used to power de Havilland's second biplane, which was also first flown at Beacon Hill in September 1910. Building the Kingsley Hotel. Wiltshire and Rimmer, bicycles and electrical goods. (1905) The Pineapple on the right. The Cycle Club, CTC, now met above Miss Field's cold meat shop on the left. Polly Lovell Hairdressers replaces Miss Field's shop. The Pineapple Inn pub sign. Agricultural machinery outside the Pineapple in 1911. Jack Ashfield outside his shop, Pineapple Inn on the left. The Baptist Church. The Forge, now the site of Ron Clacy's bungalow. W. Holloway, blacksmith. Sampson's cycle repair shop and Piercy's tobacconist and stationers. The old workhouse, Waterloo, before the move to London Street, now Mulberry Mead Flats. Pony and Trap outside J. Webb's shop, with the Wesleyan Chapel on the left. The Wesleyan Chapel. Methodist Church members. Reopening of the Wesleyan Church in June 1928 by the Mayor of Andover. The Methodist Church interior. C. Webb, Pony and Trap for hire, and Baker. Philip Langley, butcher. Butchers, E. W. Small, and hairdresser R. G. Keel. Dunlop and Burgess, radios, bicycles and electrical repairs. On the right, Dunlop and Burgess. The white shop front over the bridge is Witt's the Butchers. Lloyd Cook's shop and delivery van. Lloyd Cook's daughter Ethel, shown here in 1919. Eddie and Margaret Robbins. Richardson's, later became Horn's Dairy. Alec Horn and delivery cart. New Road, later named Test Road. Silk Mill Cottages and Herbert Johnson's Auction Shed. The silk mill gates were removed in the 1940s and melted down for war use. The mill winding frame and staff with James Hyde. Hand weaving, Edgar Hyde, James's brother, on the right. Staff members in 1960. The Nethercott Centre. The Recreation Ground. The Salvation Army Hall, opened May the 4th, 1929. Opposite the Harvest Home, organ grinder with monkey perched on back of the horse. Knoll Road, later Micheldever Road. The secondary modern school, Tesport, in the 1950s. Cottages at the entrance to the weir. Fulling Mill, built on the site of a mill mentioned in the Domesday Book. It became a corn mill in the early 19th century and latterly a private house. It was once the home of the actor James Robertson Justice. All Hallows, viewed from Fulling Mill Bridge. looking downstream towards Fulling Mill. Approaching All Hallows and King's Lodge from Fulling Mill. Tufton Barracks. These 6 farm cottages were destroyed by fire on March the 7th, 1913. The Earl of Portsmouth rebuilt the current cottages on the opposite side of the road in the same year. Tufton Cottage and St Mary's Church. A very green method of drying the washing. The River Test and the Great Western Railway Viaduct. View of Tufton from the top of the viaduct about 1900. St Mary's Tufton is a Grade 1 listed building dating from the 12th century, the 13th and 18th century editions. Testbourne House. In 2008, the old Testbourne House was demolished and a much grander one built in its place.